Good morning and welcome to the Propeller Club of Northern California. This is our first meeting of 2012. If you would stay muted so we don't get any background, I am going to introduce our participants, and we are here to hear Mr. Ed DeNike, President of SSA, who's going to give us an overview of what the situation is on the Pacific Coast waterfront. And I would like to begin by introducing my board member and partner in crime, Susan Ransom. Susan, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. We're very happy. Thank you, Stas and the Propeller Club for having SSA as your speaker today. We're very excited about our new cranes and the first call CMA service starting in early February and all the future growth and volume that we anticipate bringing to the port now and in the future. So we're very excited. And we're excited to have Ed speaking.
Okay, thank you very much, Susan. Todd Croshaw.
Hi, my company is Croshaw Design, and we provide integrated brand marketing for print and web and IT support.
Thank you, Todd. And you're our IT coordinator.
Right.
Brian Brandes, good morning.
Morning, everybody. Thank you, Stas, for the invite. Good morning, Ed.
Morning, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
Danny Wan, Happy New Year, Mr. Port Director. How are you?
Happy New Year. Thank you for having Ed speak. And the port is so fortunate to have Ed and Susan and SSA being our main partner at the terminal operations. And I look forward to hearing Ed.
And we have new cranes.
Yes, new cranes. See the picture?
I saw that. That's a good one. So I asked Susan to get me one of those so I can have it for my background.
Yeah.
Danny, thank you very much. Kim Arrive, good morning, Kim.
Good morning. I was muted.
Yes. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. The Red Oak Victory is doing fine over there in Richmond, and I have no complaints. Very happy to be retired.
Thank you very much, Kim. Curtis, good morning. Curtis, you need to unmute yourself.
All right, Stas, thank you. Thanks for inviting us. We have EMA hasn't attended the club in a little while since Jerry Swanson retired, but happy to join today and hear Ed's talk.
Curtis, thank you very much. Mr. Bill Nixon, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Bill Nixon, a really, really old ship agent for tramp bulk ships.
Very good, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Anita Yao, good morning, Anita.
Oh, unmute. Good morning, everyone. The wonderful Port of San Francisco. Wish you all Happy New Year 2000. Wish you the best in 2021. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Miss Neff, Teresa Neff, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Teresa Neff, Inside Sales Manager at GSC Logistics. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, Teresa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin Taylor, welcome, sir.
Hi, Stas, and thanks for the invite. Happy New Year to everyone. Congratulations to SSA on the new cranes, and that's really exciting for the port. And you know, we're doing most of our business through your terminal, so we always appreciate your partnership and look forward to expanding that in the coming years.
Thank you very much, Justin. Mr. Ron Brown.
Well, I will take a peek. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. I'm certainly hoping that we'll all have a much better 2021 than 2020. So Happy New Year, everyone.
Amen to that, brother. Brian Bauer. Brian, good morning.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Brian Bauer, Trey Pack, one of the other marine terminal operators at the Port of Oakland.
Very
Thanks.
good, Brian. Thank you very much. Dan Edelston, good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Dan Edelston with Foss Maritime Company. I'm the account manager for San Francisco Bay Region.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Mr. Peter Friedman, good morning.
How are you guys? I saw your cranes coming through under the Golden Gate on the virtual background being used by a couple of the customs brokers in San Francisco. That seems to be the go-to virtual background, is the ship with the cranes coming under the Golden Gate. So good advertising.
Thank you, sir. Joseph Zepko, good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year to all of you, and look forward to working with all of you guys during 2021.
Thank you. Leanne, good morning, Leanne.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Leanne with GST Logistics.
Thank you. Alice Heron, good morning.
Good morning, Alice Heron, Golden State Renewable Energy. Congrats. Those cranes look fantastic. And here's to a great new year.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Lee, good morning. I don't hear you and I can't see you. All right. Good morning, Patrick Donnelly.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Patrick Donnelly with City National Bank.
Mr. Lee, you came back. Good morning, Mr. Lee.
Good morning. Sorry, I thought you said Miss Lee. I figured that wasn't me, but good morning. Happy New Year. Aloha from Matson at B63 here in Oakland. Aloha.
Thank you. Thank you. Patrick, thank you very much. Andrew Wong. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Andy Huang, Port of Oakland, Marketing Manager.
Thank you. Mr. Burge, good morning.
Good morning, Stas, and Happy New Year, everybody. John Berg with PMSA. Happy to be here and looking forward to hearing Ed's comments.
Thank you very much, John. Jerry Morrow, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year's. I'm here to listen to Ed tell us how we're going to come out of all this congestion.
Yeah, we'll all be interested in that. Thank you very much. Okay, and have I missed anybody, Todd?
Hard to keep track of everybody. Kim Reevy, did you possibly? I'm trying to remember who spoke.
Let's see. I see Teresa. Oh, Roberto Bernardo. Roberto, are you there?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Stas, and good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm the Acting Communications Director for the Port of Oakland. I'm happy to be here and looking forward to today's presentation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Roberto, and happy New Year to everybody. I hope 2021 will be better than 2020. I echo Mr. Brown's sentiments, and we have everybody. Is that correct? I introduced everybody, Todd?
I hope so. If I missed anybody, then speak up.
All right. Okay. So without further ado, I am going to introduce Ed DeNike via Susan Ransom, who is our board member and client services manager for SSA. Ed DeNike has been on the front end of our crisis down south with congestion. He's been a spokesman for the industry and for SSA for many years. And Ed's a guy that I think it's fair to say what you see is what you get. Ed's been a straight shooter with us for years about what the challenges have been on the waterfront. His knowledge and experience go back a long time. And Ed, I really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you very much. And Susan, would you like to do the introduction? I see you've gone dark there. Are you still there?
I am.
Oh, okay, there you are. Okay.
Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
Okay.
Hey, again, I just want to thank the Propeller Club and you, particularly Stas, for arranging this today. I think everybody appreciates all the meetings that we've had over the last few months. They've been very informative. Really excited to hear Ed talk and kind of update everybody on the current events of what's going on in the West Coast. You know, the cranes they're offloading right now. We're real excited about that. And of course, everyone's been waiting for the first call. So we have that coming up with CMA. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our president of SSA Container Terminals, Ed DeNike, and he's going to be filling us in on current events. Ed?
Okay, thank you, Susan, and good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. I guess what I'd like to just start out with is, you know, our state of affairs, particularly in California. As you know, we've had a rough 6 to 7 months, and I'm trying to explain what the reason is and see whether or not we're ever going to get out of this crisis. Right now, as you probably are aware, I'm gonna talk about Southern California for a little while, and then we'll go to Northern California. There is about a 7 to 8 day, not shift, day wait for a ship that comes into the harbor to get gangs to work. As a result, there's anywhere between 30 and 40 ships that are either at anchor or at a berth waiting for gangs for days. There's, you know, people want to know what the reason is, and, you know, it's hard to say, but I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Number one, the volume in Southern California is the highest volume that it's ever been in the history of, you know, of operations down there. And the COVID issue has created a problem in which there's less longshoremen checking into the hall to work. We were talking earlier, and there's about, as much as we can see, there's about 700 less longshoremen a day checking in to work these ships. And more than that, when you have a longshore working force, there's a portion of that force that is trained as in skilled labor, which we call skilled labor, which mainly is in the yard, basically, when we work ships that would drive cranes, transhandlers, or top handler drivers. And what's happening today is, you know, there's a lot of casuals that are taking jobs. Casuals are people that work out of a different hall that aren't in the union and are trying to accumulate enough hours where when the time comes to register more people, that they'll have an opportunity to become part of the ILWU. The problem is those casuals cannot work skilled jobs. They basically are just basic jobs that work lashers. And in Southern California, they do drive hustlers. But the jobs of driving cranes and top handlers are, you know, they cannot drive. And today, when we allocate gangs in Southern California, a lot of it is based upon the skilled drivers' availability. For an example, if you have a ship that can discharge all the chassis and not have to have dock people like top handler drivers and crane drivers to put those containers on the ground, you can get gangs much earlier than those who have to go to the ground. So we have ships that come in and leave, come in and leave, come in and leave maybe 2 or 3 times during a 4 or 5 day period, because they accumulate chassis to be able to discharge to those chassis. And they will get in line before other ships that need to go to the ground. But when the other ships get the gangs, they have to leave. It's a little complicated, but it is a reason why that that these ships are taking so long. The other problem that we have is the delivery of import loads is a lot slower now than it's been. And the reason for that is a shortage of chassis, and the fact that the warehouses or BCOs are full and can't take the containers, and they're, as a result, they stay on the dock longer. Now, what that means is a terminal operator, in most cases, has to move containers once or twice in the yard to get them available to either deliver or work ships. The numbers show that the amount of people that are ordered now to work in the terminal to do that, just to receive and deliver and relocate containers in the container yard, is 20% more than it was last year at this time. So they're actually 20% more labor going to the yard than to the ships, or to the yard, 20% more labor to the yard than went last year. Now, the yard labor takes precedent over the ships. So when terminal operators order men to work, men or women to work, longshoremen to work, the terminal gangs are allocated first, which means that there's less people to work ships. I was talking to some people this morning, and they're telling me it looks like it's a Spanish Armada out there with the number of ships waiting. It's something that to behold, actually. So people ask, well, how long do you think this is going to last? Well, we don't know. We're only listening to our carriers, and the carriers are saying that, our carriers anyway, are saying that they're not sure either, but they are sure that it will last at least till the end of the first quarter of this year. Now, going up to Oakland, we had a similar problem, obviously not in the numbers that we have in Southern California, but there are about 100 longshoremen less checking in than last year, which is about 10%, maybe 12%. But we haven't had as many problems, near as many problems, but as we have in LA. Now, we are having problems with skilled operators. In Oakland, we are training day and night, trying to get people to more people that are skilled on the top handlers and transtainers in the yard. So that being said, we have one disadvantage in Oakland that we don't have anywhere else, and that is that the casual longshoremen in Oakland are not allowed to drive hustlers. In Oakland, unfortunately, this is the only port on the West Coast that casuals are not allowed to drive. So that means that when we're short labor, casuals can't get into the hustlers, and registered men get into top handlers and cranes. So that is a disadvantage in Oakland. Now, that being said, at least with SSA, over the years, our productivity in Oakland is better than it is in any other port. The longshore workers actually do a great job getting ships in and out, and their attitude, the longshoremen themselves, for the most part, is pretty good. Again, the issues that we have there are trained top handler drivers. Now, today, and from what I understand, the last week or two, the shortage of labor is not near a problem as it was a while ago. Now, with OICT, OIC does a little over 70% of the business in Oakland. And one of the things that we did do is we raised 4 cranes. And those 4 cranes can handle the bigger ships. And what happens is these are, with our ships that go into OICT, they're the same ships that go into Southern California. And they're the big ships. We'll get the mega ships, the 17, 18,000, 13, 14,000 TEU ships that want to go 8 and 9 high on deck so they can get more freight. Well, we did raise 4 cranes, and as a result, a lot of our customers are going higher on deck, hoping that we can that they can use those 4 cranes. And what that means is there's times where we could work more ships at a time and more gangs, but we can't work the big ships because they're now going higher because they know we raise cranes. And the 3 new cranes that we're bringing in will really help. Those cranes, I believe, are the biggest, tallest on the coast. They're 175 feet high. The newer cranes in the last year or two have been 165 feet high. So these cranes will be able to go 11, 12 high on deck. And what that will mean is that the bigger ships will be able to come in, go higher on deck, and have more cranes that can work those ships. I'm just going to keep speaking, and I understand at the end of my presentation we'll have questions. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, is the West Coast competitive with other areas? And I can tell you this, that the answer to that at this point, I'm sorry to say, is no, for a lot of reasons. In Canada, the rail rates going to intermodal or areas such as Chicago and Detroit, whatever, are $400 to $500 less freight rates. The rail freight rates in Canada are much less than they are in the US. And we're trying to get the Class A carriers, railroads to understand that. In the past, they haven't been willing to reduce their rates, but it looks like they're now willing to do more than they have in the past. And so that means when we're talking intermodal cargo, at least in that we're really, with Canada, we're not competitive. If you look at the Southeast and East Coast, particularly the Southeast, their longshore contracts are less costly than ours are on the West Coast. Their production, particularly in places like Savannah, Charleston, and such, is very good. They actually have, in some cases, non-union crane drivers. The port hires the crane drivers. They have special arrangements with labor. They don't, again, their cost on their longshore contract isn't what the West Coast is. And as a result, our costs aren't competitive with there. Now, these are things that, you know, in the West Coast, PMA had 3 studies made. The reason I'm pretty familiar with these is those 3 studies this past year have explained, why the West Coast is not competitive with other areas, either Canada, even Mexico, and the Gulf, the Eastern Gulf of the United States. We talk about COVID challenges. You know, we're doing everything we can to keep people safe. One of the things that we're required to do up and down the coast is clean and sanitize the equipment after every shift. That has been very costly, maybe $1 million a week for the industry. We just started today taking temperature checks in Southern California. This is something that the Local 13, the ILWU in Southern California insisted upon because of the recent issues with the number of cases and deaths down there. And we're trying to do everything we can with respect to face masks and that type of thing. And I think actually the industry is doing a good job. When you talk about relationships with the ILWU, I actually think that the industry has a decent relationship with the ILWU. It's much better than it has over the years, in my opinion anyway. We still have issues because obviously we have, different ways of thinking about things. But I think the ILWU is realizing the importance of their ability to be able to compete to keep business. In Southern California, they had slogans, let's beat the canal type of thing when the canal opened up. So I think that with labor, we have a good relationship now. I'm a little concerned about 2022 in that I think the negotiations are going to be difficult because of some of the things that the union is going to be looking for. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think, as I said, that their cooperation is as good as it's been for years. We're talking also about the zero emissions issues, the environmental issues that California is coming up with. That is really going to be, in our opinion, a real problem to compete in California, in that the equipment that they're expecting the operators to have, let's say in 2030, is going to be 3 times the cost of what it is today. For an example, a top handler, let's say, that cost $650,000 today. We've just worked with Taylor Manufacturing. We've got 2 of them. They cost over $2 million a piece. And we have a concern now. Those we got by state grants. We didn't have to spend that money. But in the future, this equipment that they're asking for is going to be very expensive. And we don't know how a terminal operator is going to be able to pay for it without increasing the rates substantially to the carriers. And California really is the only area, the only Southern and Northern California, they're much more, let's just say, prone to zero emission than any other state or area in the coast. So these other areas are going to be able to work the ships and work the trucks at much lower cost than we are in California. The other thing that we've been telling the state for several years, and they're finally seeing it now, is the power grid. We don't believe that the state's going to be able to produce enough power to allow these terminals to operate in the hours and shifts that they operate today. We see that now. In Southern California, they have blackouts now when there's need for air conditioning, that kind of thing, because of heat. When Long Beach Container Terminal went live, the whole city, from what I understand, went dark for a few minutes, when they connected Long Beach Container Terminal. So, we really believe that the politicians in California need to understand, the issues that are going to be presented if they really insist on trying to have zero emissions. Now, we've worked with in Oakland and in Southern California. We put in the first hybrid transtainers in Oakland. I think we have 13 of them there that they're run by electric power, obviously, but they have a very small diesel engine to get them started. And, they're, 95% clean compared to 100% all electric. We've been trying to get the the state to agree to let us try hybrid top handlers, and we're hoping to get some sort of a grant to build a few of them to see how they work, and to show the state that we can we can work with hybrid equipment that in some cases get 98% clean rather than 100% clean. And the hybrid equipment is much less costly than the all electric. Finally, people wanted to know about cybersecurity. I don't know. I think everybody is concerned on cybersecurity now. SSA now has a department with 10 or 12 people. That's all they do, is try to control, our computer services. Seems like every day they send us a test just to keep everybody aware of the issues that we could have if we do have security problems within our computer system. I think that I've tried to address most of the things or most of the issues, I should say, that you may be interested in, but I really would like to see if you guys had any questions that maybe that we could answer. So I'd like to open that.
Ed, thank you very much. And it's Ed DeNike, not Ed DeNike. Peter Friedman.
No problem. I'm used to it.
I blame Peter Friedman for this, but I apologize. Ed, thank you very much for this. I think what I would like to do is, one thing that you mentioned is temperature checks. And Peter, I was just blaming you for me calling Ed DeNike. And, you know, I've been around you so much that I've been badly influenced, but I know it's DeNike and I promise not to do it again. So,
No problem.
okay. Temperature checks. Would temperature checks help to alleviate the problem of people coming to work who may not, or who perhaps may not be, should not be coming to work?
Well, you know, we're not sure. We're going to find out. It'd be interesting to see. And again, we just started today, and Southern California is the only area we're doing it in. And we're going to have to see how many people are turned around. Most locals, ILWU locals, do not want temperature checks because when somebody is turned around, they don't get paid for the day. And there's an issue with the politics of that happening. Now, Local 13, again, because of the amount of cases and the number of deaths, have decided that they want to do that. Now, we quite frankly, would love to see the temperature checks made at the hall.
Okay.
We believe that that's where they should be taken, because what they do is that the guys come in, that's where they're intermingled with everybody, and it seems to me that that would be a better place to take the temperature checks. We tried to get the ILWU to agree to that, but they just would not agree to do that.
So Ed, excuse me, where are the temperature checks being done right now in Southern California?
They're going to be at the gates.
Oh.
So that means when a longshoreman comes to the terminal, they normally go through a turnstile, and there'll be somebody there with that temperature gun, taking the temperature. If they do have a temperature, they're handed some documents as to what to do about it. And we hope that that they'll adhere to those instructions.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm opening up for questions, and if I see Peter Friedman, so I'm going to ask Peter to start. Peter Friedman, please ask your question. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you. And Ed, thank you very much for being available for these sorts of sessions. It's so important, and you know, everything hits at the terminals, you know, all the problems and so forth all around the country, and you are unsurpassed in your willingness to actually meet and speak frankly to the trade. So thank you very much, Ed. How do we climb out of this chassis issue? You know, this chassis problem. First of all, I don't hear so much about shortage of chassis in the southeast, on the Atlantic and in the Gulf. I don't hear so much about the chassis shortages as I do on the West Coast, and I'm just getting inundated by folks who, you know, a terminal won't let them come in with their own chassis to haul a container out. So the chassis just sits there, demurrage builds. That's not your terminal, but another one. It's just these horror stories of chassis. How do we climb out of it on the West Coast?
I mean, from what we understand, the reason for the shortage of chassis is that a lot of these containers are not being returned in time to be unloaded to have that chassis available. And the reason for that is, again, from what we understand, is that a lot of these BCOs are full, and they keep importing and importing, and they just, either because they may be full, or maybe they have a COVID problem where they're delivered to and they can't unload them. But that seems to be the issue. Now, with us, we have our own chassis pool, luckily, and you know, we have over 8,000 chassis that we put into our terminals to help this pool of pools. Now, so, again, Peter, I can only tell you, that, initially there were a lot of chassis that were bad order, several thousand bad order. I think the terminals have done a much better job getting these bad order chassis fixed. And one of the issues is that the carriers themselves, they have to authorize the chassis being, in most cases, they have to authorize the terminals to fix the chassis. And sometimes that takes a lot longer than what it should. So the carriers now understand that, and their authorization process is much faster. And again, I know at our terminals, it's not now an issue. And I understand at other terminals, they're a lot better than they were 5 or 6 months ago.
Well, the carriers said they wanted to get out of the chassis business, but it seems that they have failed to achieve that objective.
One of the things that I think's happened is, when the carriers got out of the chassis business, they committed to use those chassis to the people who bought the chassis. And then they created the pool of pools. So down in Southern California, but I don't know, the thing that's questionable to me is how many other chassis are available with the chassis owners. Can they put more chassis in? Why don't they put more chassis in? I can tell you this, we've increased our chassis pool. We have what we call West Coast chassis pool. And I just got 1,000 chassis and it was not hard to get it all. So, and I know one of our carriers is buying 1,000 chassis and they're getting, so I believe there's a possibility those chassis are available from other sources throughout the country. And I'm not sure why the owners of the chassis, like the pool of chassis, why they're not putting more chassis into the fleet.
Ed, let me just, for clarification, you said that you have a pool of 8,000 chassis. Is that for the West Coast?
Yes. And we just added 1,000.
And you just added 1,000.
Yeah. So, and I might add another thought. The issue is we're getting them 200 at a time because I don't want to do them 1,000. I just want to wait to see how many but we are getting them.
Right.
And so that tells me that there are chassis available to add to the fleets. And it seems to me that, we should be doing that. And I don't want to talk for the pool of pools because I don't know what their issues are.
Okay.
But I know that we are getting more chassis.
Are we seeing any alleviation in the problem that Peter referred to?
I think it's better than it was a couple of months ago, but it's still not where it needs to be. And the thing that we have to really look at is really, because everybody is saying that these chassis aren't being returned back to the terminal in the same time frame that they used to. Somebody will.
And that you ascribe to the problems that the BCOs have at their warehouses, that they're not turning the chassis in.
Yes.
Okay.
I give you an example. We have in Southern California, we truck off maybe 1,000 to 2,000 containers a night to our off-dock terminals.
Okay.
Our off-dock terminals keep the chassis or keep the containers on chassis and normally have a 1 to 2 day turnaround. But now it could be 3 to 5 day turnaround. So the turnaround is maybe double what it was before. When I say turnaround, the amount of days that the off-dock terminal, there's no other issues. They're on chassis, they're ready to go, and there's a very short turn time when they come in and get them.
Ed,
But they're sitting there twice as long as what they did a year ago.
okay. When you say 1,000 to 2,000, is that for Southern California?
Yes, and we do 300 to 400, maybe 500 a night in Oakland too.
Okay, so of the ones that SSA does, that SSA is trucking out 1 to 2,000 per night, and the turnaround on those was 1 to 2 days, but now it's gone to 3 to 5 days. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And it's gotten a little better, but it's not where it needs to be. And obviously, issues at the warehouse are something that are beyond everybody's control.
Yeah, there's yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
To a certain extent, our exporters, get how many days of free time, right? To get a container back, few days, and I would say some of these champion account importers, BCOs, are not being incentivized by the carriers to return as fast as they can, because I think they're all getting massive amounts of free time. I know for a fact some get 20, 25 days free time. And if you're a champion account, the carrier's going to waive it anyway. So I don't know if they could move the containers through their warehouses, the big import BCOs, faster. But I don't think they're given every incentive that our little exporters are given to get the containers back.
Okay, that's a question for the carriers, though, not for Ed, right? Okay. Now, other people, do other people have questions? Am I hearing anybody else here?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned cybersecurity issues and concerns. Have there been any breaches or attempted breaches that you can speak of, or is that, because it of course is a concern?
For us, there has not been. As you know, for a couple of the carriers, there have. But we're, and as a result, terminal operators, if there is an issue there, the terminals are completely shut. Now these terminals completely depend on computers. So, and again, I'm not sure what other companies are doing, but we're spending a lot of money protecting ourselves, and so far it's worked.
Very good, thank you. Other questions?
Hey, Stas, this is Scott Taylor. I have a quick question.
Please.
Mr. DeNike, it's an absolute honor to listen to you speak. Not to repeat what Peter Friedman said, but every time you speak, the entire industry learns just a little bit more. And you are one of the foremost authorities. And I can't thank you enough for being on this call today. I apologize. I got on the call late, so you may have already addressed this and you may not be able to speak about it for legal reasons. But I actually have a two-part question for you, if you can answer it. And that is, what are you hearing from your customers, the large vessel lines, if a ballpark was built on Howard Terminal? And the second part of that, if the ballpark did get built, what, in your opinion, would happen in Oakland?
Okay, well, the one thing that we can say, the carriers aren't sure, they can't believe that a ballpark's going to be built there. And the one thing that it has affected us is no one's willing to sign a long-term contract for us at OICT. And the concern is that if a ballpark is built, that they won't be able to get their ships turned around in that turning basin in the time frame that they need to do. They also are concerned because their shippers and a lot of the trucking community has told them there's going to be issues that are going to be hard to deal with in the streets and infrastructure in Oakland. So we're very concerned. We signed, as you know, a long-term contract at OICT, which is, a lot of money. And and I know that the port and other people want that ballpark built, but we feel it'd be a big mistake, and it could affect our business. And our carriers have told us this. Now, I'm not sure. We've asked the port to talk to the carriers because they talk to us. But as I said initially, we see it because they're not willing to give us long-term commitments based upon their concerns as to how that ballpark is going to affect the maritime business if it's built.
And that's a very, I think that's a very clear statement, and I think you'd agree, Scott. I mean, this has got to be a concern for us when we hear this kind of response, that it creates a real crisis of confidence in the future of the Port of Oakland if we move in this direction. And Scott, thank you very much for asking that question. And Ed, thank you for your candor there. We have time for maybe one more question. Does anybody have one more question? Go.
No, I have, Stas.
Go ahead, Evie.
I thought this would be a good opportunity, and I will say, Ed, I've sat with you on some of the port meetings, and especially on the Howard Terminal. You have been right there. You and Susan been right there, and I think it on one hand, we are stating our maritime needs to the port, and also it's been really revealing good relations thing with Longshore. So just that's a comment. But I had a question. I saw, and I haven't had time to check into it yet. There was a OICT notice, no empty pickup return. Oh, Susan's laughing, I know. May I ask on this, this is for Costco, MSC, CMA, Evergreen. What's behind this? Is the yard turning space getting congested, yard space issues, and then how long will this last? And
Okay,
where are the empties going to be picked up or returned?
I can't comment as to the reason behind that, but I can tell you it's over with. We are going to be receiving and delivering all empties.
Very good.
So that went out, that notification went out yesterday, but it should be rescinded today.
Okay, excellent, thank you. That was a quick answer, thank you so much.
And solves a problem because now everybody knows.
This is where we get, Stas, this is where we get our answers. Thank you so much.
Ed, thank you very much. One last go at questions before we conclude. Going once, going twice. Great. Okay, Ed DeNike. I got it right, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very complete analysis. And you've been very forthcoming. Yes, Peter, go ahead.
I also recognize Susan. Ed, you know what Susan does really great? That's really hard to find these days? She picks up and answers the damn phone.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
I mean, that is really great. We need that. So Ed, thank you very much for Susan's good work.
Absolutely. And Susan, let me chime in. I want to thank you very much for arranging for Ed to speak. You've been a stellar performer in this crisis here, and I think everybody in the Port of Oakland is very grateful for your participation. And I think I speak for everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Ed, thank you very much for this. I hope that 2022 does not become another repeat of 2014, 2015, because that would not be good.
I agree, but like I say, I have a concern. And
okay.
what can I say?
All right.
Hopefully, it will be okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. You should know our next meeting is going to be on February 2nd. Jim McKenna, the head of PMA, is going to be speaking to us on the issue. He's going to discuss the report that PMA did earlier in 2020 about rail competitiveness and the competitiveness that we face on the West Coast. So February 2nd, Jim McKenna. Ed, thank you very much. We hope these problems will get sorted out. I think the temperature checks is a really good idea, and I hope that we will prevail. It's hard to believe that 2021 will be worse than 2020, so I guess we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Your good work and your steadfastness is very much appreciated, and thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys, and see you.
Congrats on the new cranes too.
Oh, and very much so. Good luck on the new cranes. Thank you, guys, and see you on the 2nd.